I recently sat with someone as they watched a Goofy movie for the first time. Actually, watched is a generous word for what she did, as she online shopped for her Halloween costume on Urban Outfitters with the movie, a Goofy movie, playing in the background. Yes, you are correct, this woman was neither a nerd nor was she black. And when she didn't know who Tevin Campbell was, woo, and that's when I knew. That's when I realized a Goofy movie isn't just a nerd classic. A Goofy movie is a black nerd classic. A Goofy movie is, unequivocally, the blackest Disney movie of all time. Now before you jump up and say, well, what about The Lion King? Let me just say that the black gods of the savannah simply don't count by essence of being non-anthropomorphized. You have to walk upright on 2 feet in order to count. No disrespect to Mufasa. But while The Lion King might be one of the greatest of all time, what a Goofy movie had was something none other did, and that was Max. Max was for the black nerds, man. Think of the plot for a second. Max lied to his girl and spent the next several weeks making that lie the truth. It's already the blackest plot ever. And there really wasn't an antagonist either, which is a rarity for children's movies. I mean, there was Pete, but Pete was less of a villain than just someone whose insecurity makes them so terrible, but you still want to hang out over their place because they have an N64 and you still have a Sega. Tell me you didn't have a family friend like Pete growing up. Pete rolled up to a camping trip with a bowling alley. Everybody has that friend. But a Goofy movie was never about overcoming Pete, it was about overcoming yourself. A Goofy movie was about your fears and your insecurities, what made you embarrassed, what made you happy. A Goofy movie wasn't about anyone else, a Goofy movie was about you. And let's not forget Max's persona either. Max was judged, misunderstood by a bum-ass principal who judged him based on his baggy clothes. Alright, Max did break out into a school assembly that one time. But do you remember what Principal Mazer said about him when he was talking to Goofy on the phone? Dressed like a gang member. Your son caused the entire student body to break out into a riotous frenzy. And if I were you, Mr. Goof, I'd pay more attention to how I'm raising my son before he ends up in the electric chair.
The electric chair?
I mean, those are heavy words. Gang member? Riot? Does any of this sound familiar? Max did reach his hood pinnacle though when he smacked the shit out of a possum at Lester's possum party. Tried to hug him. Yet a Goofy movie's peak blackness came from a surprise source. 2 words for you. Tevin Campbell. Tevin, can we talk for a minute? Campbell. Tevin, I'm ready, Campbell. Casting Tevin as Powerline, Disney put blackness at the center of a Goofy movie, calling him the greatest rock star in the world. This was our Tevin. Our vest-wearing, S-curl styling, soul-singing Tevin Campbell. That man's voice reverberated through the entire essence of black kids in the 90s. And not limited to Powerline, that whole troop had fire. If Goofy made the perfect cast a hot line, Max made it a hot song. When they dropped on stage and they dropped, they twirled, they jumped and twisted and moonwalked. Ooh, I say it again, when they dropped, they jumped and twisted, they twirled and they moonwalked. Oh my God, Powerline was like, who is this? Oh God, I'll allow it. And then Roxanne and her girl recognized gang, and they started doing that jam right there in the street, son. That shit was fire. And in the midst of it all was the movie's climax. Not kissing Roxanne, not hugging his dad, but when Max made it on stage and his homies saw him. There is nothing more powerful in cinema than Max is on the tube. That's Max. I know him. Max was on stage, y'all, and he made it. Makes me cry every time. J. Cole made 3 albums off the strength of that moment, and they're all landfill in comparison to one bar from Pauly Shore. He did it, y'all! That exact moment summarizes everything that Max ever wanted, and I saw him do it. Do you have any idea what that felt like for 10-year-old me? Of course you do. You were right there too.